In the book of Genesis, chapter 32, we find Jacob running away from his brother Esau. He's running out to the country of Aram, and he has this encounter with God. He has this dream of the angels going up and down the ladder, and he takes a vow. And he says, if God will be with me, he'll bless me, he'll give me bread to eat, a garment to wear, he'll protect me, he'll return me, he'll bring me back to my father's home, then this place will be the house of God. This is going to be the eternal temple, and tradition tells us that this was Mount Moriah, this was Jerusalem, and this is where the temple was ultimately built. The temple was built in the place where Jacob vowed that he's going to build a temple. We find in the book of Psalms, when David was seeking the place of the temple, in chapter 132, David speaks of finding a place for the hero, for the chief, for Jacob's hero, for God, who he calls Avir Yaakov, the mighty one of Jacob. In other words, we see that the temple is associated with Jacob. Why, out of our three patriarchs, out of our three forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, was Jacob the one that chose the place for the temple? And why, in the entire spectrum of Jacob's life, was this the time when he's running away from his brother that he makes his vow, that he says this will be the spot for the temple? And we understand as follows. We understand that Jacob wasn't just speaking about a physical, geographical location. He was speaking about an attitude. At this point in his life, Jacob was as helpless as he would ever be. He speaks about it later. He says, I just crossed the river with but a stick in my hand. He had nothing. He possessed nothing. He was completely helpless. He was completely without any protection. And it was at that point where he encountered God. And his promise was that when I'm going to be blessed with wealth, when I'm going to be blessed with power, when I'm going to be blessed with security, I'm going to come back to this spot, this place of helplessness, this recognition of having nothing before God. And I will recognize that all the power that I have, all the strength that I have, all the wealth that I have is not mine, it's God's. And that's how I'm going to serve God. This is the foundation, this is the house of God. When King Solomon ultimately built that house, he turned to God and he told him, I built a house for you. In a certain sense, we could think that's the most arrogant thing a human being, a created being, can tell his creator. A created being is going to speak to his creator and tell him, I created a house for you, I built a house for you. And if there would have been a speck, if there would have been a tiny drop of arrogance, of a sense of, I did it, in Solomon's words, then God's presence would never have came to dwell in that house. But Solomon spoke from the point in time, the point in space, the point in attitude of Jacob's vow, from the place of helplessness, from the place of recognition that everything that he had was but a gift from God. When he said, I built this house for you, he was echoing David's sentiment. David in the book of Chronicles turns to God and he says, it's from your hand, God, that we give to you, because everything is from you. When Solomon is telling God, I built a house for you, he's telling God, you gave me the privilege, you gave me the power, you gave me the strength, you gave me the wealth, you gave me the building materials, you gave me the creativity to build this house for you, and that was the greatest gift you could have granted to me. Not that I did something for you, but rather something that you did for me. Jacob's vow reminds us that when we approach God, it's never from a position of power, it's never from a position of an attitude of possession, I have, I'm above, I'm powerful, but rather it's from a position of helplessness, of recognition that everything we have is but God's blessing.